Hello, friends, and welcome to Two Grooms
in a pod.
I'm Cleo,
And I'm Shannon.
and we are going to just get right into it this evening. We hope y'all are doing well. It's good to be back. How are you today, sweetie?
I'm great.
Good.
Great.
I
Had a
had
great day.
to wake you up from your nap to get ready with the podcast.
I was just resting my eyes a little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
Absolutely not. You worked hard today. You deserve a nap. You know, ain't nothing wrong with taking a nap. I like to check in and uh, have your friends listen to, or people listen. What kind of feedback are you getting from the podcast?
I'm getting good feedback. More friends are, listening to it and looking at it, and they're positive.
Yeah.
About what they're hearing and seeing.
That's good.
Yeah.
You did tell me someone sent you some notes, like gave you some notes, and we don't have to go what the notes were, but
I mean, we could. It doesn't matter.
What was the note then?
I needed to project a little more. Some of my speech was a little inaudible.
Okay.
Well, at times.
Yeah, I think that could happen to the best of us.
Yeah.
I think my thing is just making sure I'm articulating more consistently, because I have a tendency to not do that. But whatever. But like I told you though, that there's you gotta be careful with listening to everybody's opinion about what's going on. So
that's true.
So opinions are good, but at a certain point,
I mean, I'll feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
In the zone of it all, so I know I'll get better.
Yeah, definitely.
At how I feel about myself too. But
yeah. Oh well,
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing this for a minute, and I still have those insecurities, around it. But that's not what the people came for. But we did get a very positive response, and a young person wrote in, and I just want to share this message. And I'm not going to say who they were or what have you, but I will just share the note that they sent in. And this is regarding episode 2, advice for young gays episode. And they said, I hope you know how helpful and beautiful this episode was, and encouraging, and how encouraging y'all's words were as a young gay man who is lost at times in such a small town with no guidance from people who were once in my shoes. You guys need more segments like these, and I hope me sending you this isn't weird. I just had to tell you, truly enjoyed this one.
Awesome.
Isn't that great?
It gave me goosebumps when I heard it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You never know who you touch.
Yeah.
When you give your information or give your critiques on things. Because and it's all about learning more about yourself through others.
Sure.
Others, who are more experienced and wiser. So,
well, it was. I mean, that was the goal of that episode, right? Was to reach out and to connect to the younger folks, who have not necessarily trod the path we have trod.
True.
And we will do more episodes that are, advice to the young gays. Yeah,
because I wish that I had someone to talk to.
Yeah.
About this life. I would have not taken some of the paths I took.
Well, I always question that. I'm like, would we had not taken the paths that we took, or sometimes your parents try to tell you the way to go, and you go the opposite way because they told you to go. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sure that doesn't happen. Maybe you weren't that person, but you know what I mean?
I can get it.
So I would like to think that maybe there's some things I wouldn't have done, but I know that there's a lot of things I probably still would have did.
I think I would have researched it more, or would have been more inquisitive about it. I don't think I would have done some of the things.
Yeah. Some things no, some things probably still. Right? You probably still would have went for the bad guy, even though they told you about the bad guy and warned you about bad guys.
Well, I mean, you like what you like, I think.
Like I said, you were warned, but you still went ahead and went for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's some things you probably would have done anyway. But regardless of that, thank you for that message, young man who sent that message, and it really meant a lot to both of us.
It did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And while we hope that every episode someone gets something out of it, sometimes the episodes will be just. Sometimes it's good medicine, stuff that's good for you, and sometimes it's going to be junk food and candy, and hopefully scandalous. I hope.
Hey, that makes it different and exciting.
Yeah, right.
And fun.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping.
It can't be all serious.
So let's get into our first topic, which is more of a question: is honesty always the best policy? And let's just start first. Let's put it specifically. We'll start with in a relationship. Is honesty always the best policy?
I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
There's no situation in which a little white lie might be okay.
Well, see, you're confusing two things. Honesty is, I think, always the best policy.
Okay.
Whether you carry it out or not, that's different.
Okay.
That's different.
Explain that to me. I don't understand.
Meaning, I think it's always the best policy for someone to know how you deliver their information or how you deal with it. It's it's different.
Gotcha.
There are a lot of things I hold back because I know it's going to hurt that person's feelings, or I kind of try to sugarcoat it a lot more to spare their feeling.
Okay.
And for me, it's all about the audience and who I'm talking to.
Right, but we're starting first in a relationship, which I know can be tricky because I'm married.
Still talking about it. Because as we get to know one another, you and I specifically, I know your triggers. I know, what makes you happy, what motivates you, that kind of thing, right?
So can I have an example, if you feel like you can share, but example of when honesty, because you said honesty is always the best policy, you just may deliver it differently.
Correct. Or I may not give it at all.
Or you may not give it all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because, I want you to be happy. I want you to, maybe, continue in your delusion or whatever.
Okay.
Maybe that's strong, but...
Like delusion? Okay.
I'm not talking about you specifically.
You are talking about me specifically.
I'm talking about relationships, but I'm intertwining us in there.
But I would like to... Okay, I'm gonna risk it all right here.
Okay.
Give me an example of something where I'm in my delusion, or you're not, like, maybe
strike the word delusion.
Okay, strike the word delusion. Give me an example of something where you are not, you're changing it up for me, you're sugaring it up for me, but you're still being honest though.
Specifically about food.
Okay.
I'm very simple when it comes to food, and he loves to cook. He's a wonderful cook. You are. But there are certain things that I don't always like the way you like them.
Yes.
And it took me a minute to kind of be honest with you.
Yeah.
Say, hey, I really didn't like that, or
yeah,
you could do better, or whatever.
Or
but now I'm telling you, hey, maybe that's too many spices. Maybe it's too spicy or whatever. You like the spice. Or how you cook, certain rice. Rice meals. It's a little different.
Because you like your rice a certain way.
Yes.
You haven't really given me any note about rice. So tell me, this is information. Give me a note about rice.
We talked about rice before.
What's the note about? Remind me.
I like, plain rice.
Yeah.
Maybe a little extra ingredients, but not a lot.
Oh, you don't like a whole lot of stuff done to your rice. Yeah, that's true. You did say that.
Yes.
So that dish I just made,
I loved it
yesterday.
I loved it. I did.
Okay. But it had stuff done to it. It wasn't simple.
Well, you've learned how to slice it up and try to hide certain ingredients.
True.
So
that is true.
Yeah. Even though I know something's in it, but I'm branching out and I'm learning more and taking a risk, whatever.
Okay, I understand. All right.
How about you?
For me,
yes.
Well, first thing that did come to my mind was food as well. But I was thinking and I guess but you kind of answered it, because I would say, you would tell me, oh, I don't like this vegetable, or I don't like this, but I'd be like, you just ate it because it was in that dish I made. You know, like I don't, but what it was really about was the texture
Yes.
and seeing it, because you enjoyed the flavor profile that the
Yes.
ingredient provided,
Mhm.
but you didn't want to necessarily crunch down on the bell pepper or
Yes.
the onion. You needed it to be
Out of sight, out of mind. It's almost like I don't want to tell you what. I don't want you to tell me what was in it.
right. And we never really do that. I don't usually tell
Sometimes
you.
I'll ask, "What did you put in it?"
Yeah,
That kind of
that's
thing.
on you, but I
Because
don't never
we've gotten to that
volunteering
point,
it. Yeah.
learning
But
each
and
other.
usually that's after you've eaten a few bites. Like, oh, this is good. What's in this? Yeah. So we'll do that. But yeah, all that is fine. I feel like we were pretty safe. That's pretty safe. Honestly, is the best policy
Yeah.
stuff.
I mean, we don't have. I mean, we have some deep things, but we're pretty honest with each other.
Yeah.
I'm honest with you about so many things.
Yeah, I'm honest with you.
Um,
I'm just trying to think if there's. I want to think if there's an example of something that though. I can't think of anything. I think for me, I what I've learned in being married and being with you, that's been reinforced for me, is that maybe you don't have to say everything you're thinking, and sometimes I think people confuse that with honesty, being honest or not being honest. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like sometimes, or trying to make, now, not that I don't slip up and sometimes say, and I'm
Hmm.
sure I could tell you're just like, you were bothered or whatever by that thing I said, but be try to be more intentional, and so that not everything thought that comes to your brain has to be shared, or because you're feeling something a certain way in a certain moment that you have to say that thing, but to
Hmm.
give it some time, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think sometimes you need to let it breathe a little bit before you
Hmm.
respond or before you say anything, because sometimes your first thought of it may not be the right one.
Right.
And a lot of times, you and I have gotten kind of confused with that.
Yeah.
That's not really what I was thinking
Right.
or meant. We clear it up,
Hmm. Pretty
later on.
easily. No, like I do have things with certain friends, depending on the level. Like I've had friends who were in my face talking and their breath stank, and I didn't say anything about it,
Mhm.
you know? And I guess it's kind of on me. I mean, as a friend, you should be able to say, girl, your breath is kicking. Um, but I didn't. And so maybe that's on me,
Mhm.
for not doing that. Does that make me a bad friend?
No, I think a lot of people do it,
Although, see,
depending on who that friend is.
if it was me, I would want any friend to tell me that, oh, you're a little tart today. You got any gum? You're a little tart. I would want you
Hmm.
to. It's like if you had like something on your face, and you would want somebody to tell you, and I would tell anybody that,
Yeah.
friend or not, I would
Hmm.
tell that. Like if there's some little things like that, or like you may have an intention. Sometimes you got to know when to hold them, when to fold them, right? As
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers
Yeah.
said. Sometimes there's even been times where I may have a note for someone and at work,
Hmm.
but I decide, you know what? This is not the time for that. It's not the time for that.
Yeah.
And let's just wait and see if the note is
Hmm.
needed later. Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta know, it's like as a director of a play,
Hmm.
um, same thing. Sometimes you speak up and tell the actor, hey, you need to make this adjustment. And then sometimes you just say, okay, I'm gonna let them breathe, because
Hmm.
I don't want to affect their confidence in this moment, or what have you.
Hmm.
Um,
I think there's a time and a place for things.
yeah.
And once you understand that about people and you learn how to read the room, so to speak,
Hmm.
you can somewhat tell how that person may receive it at that moment.
Right. Right. But I will say there's probably sometimes where honesty is not necessarily the best policy. If, let's say, you're talking with your best buddy, and then somebody walks in the room and they're like, oh, what y'all talking about? You're not going to go, well, girl, we're talking about some stuff we don't want to tell you. You're probably going to change it. You're going to probably Oh, we were talking about we're about to go over here to go get some fried
Yeah,
fish from the place, you know. So there's times when little white lies,
yeah, those
or
are okay.
you know,
Yeah,
you know, just little
when
thing,
it's simple things,
simple
and
things.
or, you know, when you're trying not to um give people more information than they need.
Or oh, what about? Do I look good in this outfit? What about that?
Yeah, I'm always honest about that,
I'm honest in the sense
even if you
that
don't ask. I'll be like,
yes,
okay,
that
because
is
there are
true.
times you've come in the office when going to break. I'm like,
Yeah, I'm on my way
that's
to
what you're
work,
going with.
and I'm like, I'm out, and depending on my mood, I'm like, yes, I'm going with this today. This is
And
how
I
I
don't
feel.
say it mean like,
No,
I'm like, okay, you're
yeah,
going with
you
that,
just check it
and
in
it was
like,
intentional.
yeah, it's like you meant to wear that
Okay,
today.
and I'm like, okay, I'm not like, mm-mm. I'm not like Will
Yeah,
and Grace with Karen,
right,
always being up Grace, but
right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's all fair.
Mhm.
So moving on to our next topic. There is a saying that when you get a certain age
Mhm.
that you no longer care what people think about you. You hear
Mhm.
people say that all the time, especially women. Women say it a lot, which I kind of want to debunk the idea that it's only women that care what people think about them. Like there's this idea that men somehow are immune to caring about what people think about them. And I feel like a lot of men,
I think everybody cares what people
everybody
think.
cares what people think about them, right?
Yeah.
And it's probably hyper focused when it's gay guys, but I know straight guys too who've talked about that being an issue for them, where
Yeah.
they hate that they care what people think about them so
Mhm.
much.
Yeah.
And so let us start here, America, world, debunking the fact that it's not just women that care about what people think about them.
Yeah.
Men may hide it better.
They'll hide it. Yeah.
They hide it better,
Yeah.
but men care.
Mhm.
And they have insecurities based on the possible things that people think about them as well.
Yes.
But the question that I want to
Mhm.
ask is, but do you come to a certain age though where you're like, it doesn't bother me? All of a sudden you're 40 and you're like, oh, it don't matter to me what people think about me anymore.
I think it bothers me less and less as I get older.
Gotcha.
But when I was younger, I always cared about what people thought of me, how I looked, how I talked, how I walked, um,
Yeah.
just almost everything because I was so quiet and shy and
Mm-hmm.
introverted,
Self-conscious.
very
Yeah.
self-conscious about,
How you're
especially about my looks
how
and
you're
how I project.
presenting.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
because I knew I was different. I didn't
Yeah.
know what it was back then,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew something was different, and I didn't feel like everyone else.
Right.
Um, I didn't feel confident at all. So when I was younger, I did feel that way. It started to lose its power over me when I went to college.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I felt like people started paying more attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was getting compliments from men and women and
Mm-hmm.
adults and stuff like that. You
Right.
look good, you're doing this right, that kind of thing. So that
Right.
kind of reinforced that my thoughts of me were way less than they should have been.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as I got older, it lessened and lessened. It lessens and lessens, but I still have it
Mm-hmm.
because I still care about how I
Yeah.
look and what
Mm-hmm.
people perceive me as because I want to be, you know, this good person and look good and be good and all that stuff. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't bother me as much
Right.
as I'm getting older. How about you?
Uh, yeah. I mean, it definitely. I feel the same way as you do, as far as like, I don't think there's a magic age. Sorry, guys.
No.
You don't wake up just one day and it
Mhm.
just happens. I think it is, like you said, a gradual thing.
Mhm.
I think it also depends on the amount of power and control you have of your life. And what I mean by that is, are you beholden to other people? Because there's different ways, right? You're worried about your family, you're worried about
Mhm.
society and strangers, you're worried about the people at your job and
Mhm.
whatever. Like, to me, the more you become in control of yourself, in control of your thoughts, in control of your body, in control of your money, the less you care about what other people think.
Yeah.
Watch the table. I really do think that.
Yeah, I get it. Going back to the point about men and women, I think that maybe there's such a big disparity between men and women is because, women kind of grow up different than men.
Sure.
Girls grow up, oh, you're a princess, you're fabulous, you're beautiful, you're cute. So a lot of their insecurities um, are nurtured, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, yeah.
sometimes they're made to feel more fabulous than they really are. So I don't think they have those kind of insecurities as much in their head.
Well, no, I think there's definitely an imbalance as it relates to that. I think that women do get more of the shit when it comes to things to make them insecure, things like just the way the beauty industry is set up and the constant talk about anti-aging and wrinkles and this and reconstructive surgery, and then there's a little bit of that towards men, but it's mostly towards women. So I understand that there's definitely the scales are not balanced,
Right.
but I do think that we do have our cross to bear as well, though, as men, and then and as gay men, it's doubly hard because gay men are pretty vicious when it comes to, especially the younger gays, when it comes to body and
body
shaming, and just the kind of the beauty standard is very unreasonable, usually, for in the gay society, and all the way from how you dress to how you present yourself. Can be it can be a lot. It can be a lot. And so as a young gay person, it can be a lot to go through. So my thing, I guess my message to the younger people, not just younger gays, but even younger people though, is that you just don't wake up one day and it's over. It's a building block of you taking control of your life, of you becoming the person that you want to be, you being this self-possessed person, this person who got your own money, who has your own things, and that doesn't mean you're gonna never care. Sometimes it'll creep back in.
Yeah.
As RuPaul says, that inner saboteur, will come out sometimes to play, but it'll be less, and that's the ticket.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think. All right, let's get into some Reddit stories. So the first Reddit story I want to talk about, I'm not going to read them verbatim. I know like some podcasts will read the stories verbatim, and I may read a little bit, but I'm not going to read it verbatim. So this first Reddit story, the guy was married to someone for 7 years. This is a gay couple. They were married for 7 years, but the last part of the relationship, the last few years of the relationship, one of the partners, alcoholism was taking him down. Okay. He wasn't working. He had basically stopped working. The partner was pretty much just kind of almost taking care of him all the time, to the point where the partner who wasn't drinking started drinking for his own escape. And he felt that this guy's taking me down. I got to get out of this, or we both are going to drown. And so he divorced him. Okay. And so years passed, at least 5 years passed, and he's still following him on social media and things of that nature, and he sees that his ex is doing well for himself. He's showing like, oh, here's my sober chip, and he's back working. He sees him, hanging out with his family, and life is good. And so the guy who divorced him, let's call the guy who filed for divorce, let's call him Brian. That's what he sounds like, a Brian. And the guy he divorced is Paul, okay? Paul was the one who was alcoholic. So Brian sees that Paul is living this great life, and he's like, I never stopped loving Paul. This is what Brian is thinking.
Okay.
Brian is like, I never stopped loving him. I haven't gone off and I haven't remarried. I haven't done this great other love thing. I just couldn't be with him through that. And apparently the trigger for that for Paul was Paul had a relative that passed away, like a brother or something.
Okay.
And this is like probably his descent was like over the course of 3 or 4 years. Okay. So it wasn't like it was it happened 2 weeks, get over it. The guy endured some stuff for 3 or 4 years of their 7-year marriage. Okay.
So they were married for 7 years.
And of the 4 of the 7 were tumultuous
Okay.
because Paul's brother had passed away.
And
And he descended into depression and alcoholism.
and it's been 3 years since the divorce.
Yes.
And now he wants back in.
He wants to know. Brian's question is, am I wrong for wanting to get back with Paul and trying to get the relationship back? Should he go for the relationship? That's what Brian wants to know.
My first thoughts is that I would say he's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I have some more questions.
Okay, like
The 7 years they were married, 4 was tumultuous. Did he help Paul get help?
he tried. He
So did
tried.
go through all of that.
We
with him?
have to assume he tried everything. Okay, he tried. He tried to help. He tried to. He would get off the wagon. He would fall off the wagon. Right. He would. He couldn't hold down a job. Old boy was paying everything by himself because old boy couldn't hold down a job.
Okay, if that's the case, then
So it's the money for you. The money.
no, it's not the money. I want to know, was he there for his husband, trying to make it work, trying to get him help?
Okay.
For him,
Yeah.
which would help them in the long run.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where my questioning was.
Gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, 4 years is a long time, especially in our years. But I can see, there being a breaking point with the marriage. If you've tried and exhausted so many avenues of trying to get him help, and it just isn't working.
But the question is, should he try to get him back?
Should he try?
Should he try to get him back? I feel like, girl, what's the harm? Girl, go for it. Go for it, girl. Like, girl, if you feel like, because to me, Paul knows he messed up. If Paul is honest, Paul knows you pushed him away. Right?
Yeah.
You were pulling him into quicksand, and
I get that.
And he pulled the escape hatch. And to me, I think Paul probably would give him a shot. He would say, let's as Beyonce say, let's start over. Let's give love its wings. Let's start over. I'm tired of fighting about the same old thing. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's wrong for him to want to do that, but I also think he needs to be sure that he's just not looking at all the good stuff.
Right.
And he could relapse. Maybe
you gonna leave if he relapses?
because Brian wasn't what he wanted Brian to be.
I mean, that's possible. I mean? That's possible.
Maybe if he comes back to Brian and Paul get back together, Paul could slip again because he's with Brian.
Well, I have a feeling,
but a lot of what ifs.
Well, right. I have a feeling that Paul though would probably say, "Girl, you were part of the problem." But I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. So I say, Brian, if you're watching, go for it, girl. Go get your man. Go get him.
Okay, I'm on the fence a little.
You're on the fence. Yeah. Well, that's fair. All right, let's get to the next topic here. All right.
Another Reddit story.
Another Reddit story here. Okay, so this 23-year-old female wrote on Reddit, I'm getting sick of all my friends I don't have many to begin with. And I have 2 very close friends and maybe 5 other people I would consider friends. I get so bored in every conversation, and hangouts feel so tiresome, like a chore. This includes my very best friend since middle school, whom I consider family. I have never had unconditional love from anyone other than my mother. I've always been very critical of people. That's one reason I don't have very many close friends. I keep my opinions on their negative qualities to myself, of course, but it's getting to where I can't even stand it anymore. I hate being in group settings uh, where every woman is passive aggressively trying to one up everyone. The conversations are bland and lack fresh ideas. They all sound like regurgitated bullshit. I can immediately sense ulterior motives, but maybe I'm paranoid about this one. I'm very aware of my own flaws as well, so I don't fully attribute this feeling to being self centered. I am not impressed by anyone I meet and immediately can point out their flaws once again in my head. Am I the problem? What should I do? Essentially, what this person is asking.
I mean, it sounds somewhat familiar to me because there are times when I pull myself away from a lot of people because I can see a lot of negative, connotations to some of my interactions
Mm-hmm.
with people. But I think that's just me being a loner,
Mm-hmm.
just growing up that way. I have a low tolerance for negative, connections with friendships
Yeah.
sometimes. Of course, again, I'm not perfect either. I can kind of understand a little bit of her
Mm-hmm.
in that way, but also it sounds like she's just seems overly critical.
Mm-hmm.
I
I
think maybe.
I think that maybe this person is trying to be somebody that she's not. She is probably just, um, as you said, she's a loner. She is someone who enjoys. I'm trying to think of what that word is when you're just not a recluse, but she's an introvert. I think that's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
She's an introvert, and she is trying to be an extrovert, and that's what's failing her. She needs to teach her friends a new way of how to deal with her, meaning set new expectations, meaning I'm not going to meet y'all every week for lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I am now a once a month lunch brunch girl. That's how I do it
Yeah.
because I need that time to be by myself and read and watch whatever, blah, 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 blah. Like maybe that's what it really is, you know?
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah.
So that would be my advice to the young lady on Reddit.
Yeah, I think you have to definitely think about yourself too and how you present yourself in situations and
Mm-hmm.
how you deal with things because there's nothing good about going to places and you're not in a good space
Yeah.
with the atmosphere or the people you're around. So, I think you need to refrain from that or, you know, not necessarily choose different people, but maybe try to get to know other people.
Right. No, I think
Yeah.
that's very fair. Let's look at another one here. Oh, we're just doling out this gem of advice here. Okay, so this guy, I'm not gonna show his picture on our thing, but I'm showing you this picture. Okay,
Okay. All right.
so this guy posted on Reddit. He said, "34 male. I need an honest rate, please. RATE.
Be careful what you ask for.
I've always been told that I'm ugly and barely fuckable. So if you have genuine advice to fix me, that would be awesome." I'm zooming in on this picture here. First of all, how old is this man? What did he say? He's
34?
34. 34. You old enough to know better than this. Why are you putting in this picture, this guy's topless. He's a chunky guy. He's a chunky black guy. And the weight is not the thing. The weight is not the thing. The thing is, first of all, but before we get into the thing, okay? The main thing is why are we on the internet putting a picture of our body and asking people to judge it. This person is a masochist.
He knows what the answer is going to be.
He knows
He's
what
asking
people.
for it.
He is asking for. He
Was he trolling? Is what they call it?
Trolling. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think he's
or
trolling.
or he's like, maybe he gets off on like people trolling him or something.
Yeah,
But he is not looking for genuine, like,
he's not.
How can I, queer eye for the straight guy, help me improve stuff.
He's not looking for
He's
that.
not looking for that. But fortunately for him, people in the comments were pretty kind to him and saying that, hey, maybe what you need to do is just get into the gym a little bit, and other little like helpful things they were saying to him. But I just don't understand the need to like
At a certain age.
you're 34 whole years old.
You know what time it is.
And you know what time it is. And now let me look at this picture again.
I don't need to look at it.
I mean, the hair, you need a haircut, trim your beard, stop making them weird faces on the internet, online. Like, there's nothing wrong with this man, but it's just like, I don't understand that kind of invitation for negative comments.
Or he wants sympathy, or he wants
maybe that's what he was going for.
Attention in some kind of way.
Maybe that's what it was about. But it didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't see why people do certain, questions like that to the public.
Right.
I'm quite sure he's gotten that question answered many times.
About this is what the problem is with you.
Yeah.
This is why you're not getting none. I think you're probably very, very right, but yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, there's
30-something, enough women or men, whatever you want to know, have told you some things that you need to work on to be more attractive.
Yeah, well, I mean,
or to be,
I mean, nowadays most people won't tell you why they're not into you, especially online, right? I mean,
online, I think people will, because they can be
kind of cruel,
anonymous.
Well, that's true. That's true. People will say stuff about you like, well, I've had people say stuff to me crazy in my face. I mean, when they're trying to insult you, but when, on the dating thing though, people usually would just say, "Oh, I'm not into that type. You're not my type," and kind of leave it at that. They won't go, "Oh, you're this, you're that. I'm not into that." Usually, I mean, I could be wrong. Will. You're right. You're right. Maybe I'm just too
in this day and age. Yeah, what they don't like.
True. That's true. Okay. So this woman on Reddit writes, "Am I wrong for no longer cooking?" Sorry, it's a man. Am I wrong for no longer? Let me change my voice. Am I wrong? Sorry. Am I wrong for no longer cooking for my wife after she drunkenly admitted she wished her male coworker could cook for her instead? We've been married for 7 years and together for 10. A couple of years ago, my wife had a male coworker who used to cook for the office often, and my wife used to always rave about his food, and it admittedly made me insecure. Also, because he looked like a Greek model. And then one night, when we were talking and she was drunk, she admitted that she would rather have him cook for her instead. Am I wrong for not wanting to cook for my wife anymore? Is he?
Yeah, I think
he should just hang up his apron.
I would just, I would communicate with her, hey, this made me feel some kind of way. What's going on? Is there something going on?
Well, what's going on is that you don't put no spices in your food. That's what's going on. What's going on is
maybe he can't cook.
What's going on is old McDonald over there. He be tearing it up in the kitchen, and that's what's going on.
I think there's some
definitely some insecurity there too.
His food tastes well,
right? He must look really good because there's no reason to bring that up in this topic. But my thing is, okay, if it was me, there may be a small, what do you call it when you like strike? There may be a short strike. Just until we clear the air on this. His cooking's so good. Oh, it's so good. Well, why don't you get with him and ask him to to give me some recipes so I can get better. Yeah.
Give him the head. Okay.
That's what you should do. I don't never do this, but I'm pretty good at it.
I'm like, what's going on?
I know what's happening, but I look pretty good. Bob a head. I'll never just do my neck like that. My inner Shanae's coming out. You start talking about that food like
I
that.
know. I
Okay.
think yeah, it would strike a nerve with you because
Because
you're
food's my love language,
yes,
right?
yeah. That's like me cursing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
So okay, I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
I look at it differently now.
Yeah. You know, so that's probably what he's thinking. So he should not go on a strike. Maybe one day of pettiness, one day
Yeah,
of
he can.
one day of pettiness,
Right.
but then you need to talk about it.
He needs to talk about it.
Yeah, one petty day. Maybe you burn the bacon. You know,
I I think she's probably getting a little loose with the mouth, feeling good, and thinking about
right? She
the
may
killer
have
can
been
dance some
joking, like
food.
a
Could have been joking.
truth joke,
Yes.
a truth
Yeah.
joke, right?
Yeah.
You know, like oh,
Or she was feeling some kind of way,
right.
and that man's thought of that man cooking entered her head when she was, a little, what 3 sheets to the wind.
And she said, "Got him."
Right.
She said, "Got him."
And then she fell out
Ugh.
and don't remember what she said.
Right.
So yeah, I think they need to talk about it.
Yeah, y'all talk about it. It ain't worth ending your marriage over a plate of eggs because the Greek man cook eggs better than you do, girl. It's okay. There's always somebody gonna cook better than you, girl. It is. It always is. Just try to learn from them and move on, girl. That's all you can do.
It may be better. It may just be different.
Yeah, it might just be different.
And that person doesn't cook for her all the time, so it's always going to be fabulous.
He knows it's better. That's why he's writing in because he knows it's better. He done tasted it. She brought some home from work one time, probably. She said, "Oh, look at these latkes that he made."
It could be some simple thing, probably wasn't all that.
Well, he's Greek. He said he looked like a Greek model. He didn't say he was a Greek model. My bad. Okay, so it could have been fried chicken. So he brought home some fried chicken, and he's like, "Oh, taste this." The husband, his name is, what did I say his name was? I don't give him a name. His name is Michael. And Michael's like, "This is the best fried chicken I ever had before." And his wife, his name is Cynthia. And Cynthia brought the chicken home from the job.
I think it just bruises ego a little bit.
Yeah, it brings his ego. He's like,
You'll be all right.
damn it, Cynthia.
Michael.
Yes. Cynthia, Michael, get it together.
Take a cooking class or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Ooh, and La Crusade. Or as we country folks say, La Crusade. Okay. Okay. But La Crusade. La Crusade. Okay. Anyway. So before we go, we watch a lot of TV. We do watch a lot of TV. But we watch a lot of TV apart. Because we have different.
We like different things.
We like different shows. We like different things. Yeah. We'll come together and watch a movie. And we'll watch TV shows and things of that nature. But I would like you to give the people. Let's talk about a show that you're watching that I'm not watching, and maybe why you like it. Maybe maybe people should turn to it and give that show a shot. Whether that's a reoccurring show on something or whatever, a documentary, something like that. Do you have anything in mind that you're like, people should check this out?
I mean, I like the Chicago shows that come on Wednesday: Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, and Chicago PD. He thinks it's boring, but I love them. I like shows like that.
What do you like about those shows exactly?
I just like them. I like the characters. I like,
Okay, well, I'm not gonna yuck your yum. I'm gonna say anything about it. This is not a debate about that, so we're good.
I also like FBI shows that come on.
Yeah.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like crime shows.
Yeah.
It gives me an escape.
Yeah. Oh, I love a good crime show. I think my problem with shows like that, and I'll just say this is why my problem. I feel like they're kind of formulaic and they keep doing the same formula every episode, and I get a little bored because I'm like, oh, here we go again. How many houses can you run into that are on fire? Okay, like okay, girl.
I get it. I can see how.
I mean, it's like I used to, it's kind of why I kind of fell off of like any show that goes on a long, long time. Sometimes I eventually fall off of it. Like Grey's Anatomy, I fell off of it because at some certain point we were starting to kind of feel like deja vu. Old show Supernatural, if you ever watch Supernatural, at a certain point, deja vu. But what I'm watching right now Okay, there's two shows I want to mention for two different reasons. If you ever watch Gangs of London, it's a show on Netflix. It probably I think it was on AMC some time ago. It's an old show, but there's two seasons out on Netflix, and that show is so good. They have so many plot points and moving pieces per episode that I thought when we were like 6 episodes in, I was like, oh my gosh, it's the season finale. But it wasn't. It was just that they had packed in so much information and so much stuff. It just felt like it was a lot. But I recommend Gangs of London. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start season 2 tonight. And then the other show I recommend, but for all the wrong reasons, and I love you, Tyler Perry, and I hope to work with you someday. But you might not after this. Beauty in Black, I recommend it. Like, to me, well, he won't be working with you because I got through all of it. But it's like a telenovela. It's like a black telenovela. Like it's like a Spanish soap opera where the acting is sometimes. There's some good actors in there, like Deborah Morgan is in there. Is it Debbie Morgan? Debbie Morgan. She's a little. Let me shut up. Okay.
She's not playing her usual kind of character.
Right. She's not playing the same kind of character. The lead woman is really good. There's just the father who's like plays the character of Horace. He's really great. There's just some over the top writing in there. There's just some over the top characters. There's a couple of some acting the acting is uneven sometimes in the show. Let's say that. But it's highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. There's something for everyone, but it's highly entertaining. And so like I call that kind of like, in all due respect, like my trash TV. Like it's like when I'm watching Love Is Blind. It's escapism, right? And that's kind of how I feel about Beauty in Black. It's escapism. I'm not trying to get elevated, as the artist. He did with that movie with the girl from oh my gosh, the 369. It's not 369. It's not 369, but it's the Mighty Eights, the Triple Eights. The movie he did with Kerry Washington. I think it's Triple Eights, something like that. That's more elevated, artistic, if you will. I think Beauty in Black probably paid for that, or something like that. But that was more like, okay, this is the artiste stuff. So the Triple Eights on Netflix, Beauty in Black on Netflix, Gangs of London on Netflix, Chicago PD on CBS, streaming on, where's the stream?
NBC.
NBC. Oh, NBC. That Peacock then. Streaming on Peacock if it's NBC. Yeah. So streaming on Peacock.
I mean, I like a lot of other shows. I watch a lot of London British shows.
Oh, yeah. You love her?
So, yeah.
He loves an accent, girl.
Yeah, I love an accent.
I walk by there, cheerio, cup of tea.
I don't know what it is. It's just, it's different. I love the, some of the way how they live and how they talk. That kind of
Mrs. Marble, where were you at 8 o'clock when John O'Reilly was murdered?
It's a lot more artistic than that. But some of them are really good because
yeah. There's some good
Gangs of London is really great.
Yeah,
have accents all over the place. Yeah, but yeah, there's some that
the Brits can act. There's some good acting in the Brits stuff.
I saw.
Yeah, they believe in training. They believe in training in Britain. Yes, so I support you. I just be like, girl, sometimes, damn, if it with this one, if it ain't somebody getting killed from like a snapped or a what's the thing?
Oh yes, I love Dateline, Snapped. Who Did I Marry?
Who Did I Marry, girl? What else? Come on, that's some more.
Fatal Vows.
Yeah, there's more, but I'm gonna let you.
Love
leave.
Thy Neighbor.
Yeah, all that.
Killer Couples.
So yeah, all of that. You love all that stuff. So if you're looking for something to watch, there's a whole list of things for you to watch there.
Fatal Attraction.
Oh, Fatal Attraction
on TV One.
Yes. Shout out to TV One. Okay. So, all right, guys. I think that's it for this episode.
Great episode.
Episode number 4. This is
Yeah.
the podcast. It's fun.
Yes.
We were doing vocal warm-ups before the show started. You know, I was introducing Shannon to some vocal warm-ups. You wanna
No, I need to work on it. I'm not getting embarrassed.
You don't want to show them any
No.
none of the vocal warm? Okay, fine. No vocal warm. All right, love you guys. Thank you for watching Two Grooms and a Pod. I'm Cleo.
I'm Shannon.
Bye. Take care.
Bye.
We still got to work on that outro thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll work on it.
we're gonna